Good morning, I'm here with Paul.
Viveka.
Viveka, retired school teacher.
That's correct.
Great job. And Vedanta initiate?
Yes, I took...
I can tell with the by the beads in the shirt and our previous conversation.
Yeah.
Tell me, you took what?
Brahmacharya vows, the first vows. I didn't go take sannyas.
I see.
Yeah.
And Paul brought me here to show me his friends. You've been here, coming here for 25 years?
That's correct, yep.
And this creek and the forest. We are, what's the name of this area, Paul?
Lithia Park.
Lithia Park. I call it Valia Park because Valia is is Victoria's daughter.
Oh, okay.
And they're the ones who inspired me to come to Ashland.
Yeah. You got Shakespeare, you got a school, you got this park. Lots of lovely people here.
Mm-hmm. So are you still involved with the Vedanta Society?
Actually, I take my inspiration from a place in Napa now called the Devi Mandir. It has a woman saint from India. Her name is Sri Ma from Kamakhya. And a Western sadhu whose name is Swami Satyananda. They do a lot of rituals. They're very ritualistic. They do the Chandi.
I don't know what the Chandi is.
Chandi is a scripture for the Divine Mother in her various forms, Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, all of these.
I like Lakshmi.
Right, and they do...
Goddess of money.
Yeah, very serious. Yeah, actually the Swami says goddess of true wealth.
True wealth.
True wealth, whatever you conceive that to be. Mm-hmm. And we're all in different spots on that.
Well, I mean, of course, true wealth is inner. Without inner wealth, you can have all the outer wealth and you'd be
but the Swami is also
in poverty.
He is very, what do you call it, savvy, as far as you have to take care of every stage, so that you're not a burden to anyone. So he goes, you need enough wealth
to take care of your physical needs
yourself, so that you can, and then you want to minimize that so you have most time for your inner development and to pursue your passions. Yeah.
Well, that just makes sense, right?
He's done. He was an attorney, and he comes from like tremendous wealth. But he saw and then he went to India and he traveled all over India. Spent 20 years in the Himalayas.
An attorney turning into a Swami.
Yeah.
Why not?
And a very gifted one too. He's a linguist and he translates all kinds of scriptures, and he's met lots of the spiritual personalities that are famous. Doesn't talk about it, but he...
Well, it's also nice to have that financial backbone.
Right.
Allows him to travel and all these things.
Yeah, and he's a wizard at investing, and lots of his devotees are like very accomplished people. Yeah, lots of IT people and professors. He's got a professor from Harvard who goes there. So
I would never become a devotee, but what's his name anyway?
Swami Satyananda.
What? Satyananda? Satya, truth.
Right. And Sri Ma is the...
Well, there are lots of Sri Mas, aren't there? That's like one of the most common...
Sri Ma
of
Kamakhya. Yeah, there's lots of Sri Mas, yeah. I don't know what her given name was. Nobody knows.
Is she Western?
No.
Indian?
Yeah.
Older lady?
She's old now, yeah. She's probably 70s.
She's not that hugging saint, is she?
She's not Amma, no. I've seen her too. Have you seen Amma? That's San Ramon.
I did actually. Yeah. I wrote an article about her.
Oh, did you?
It's on my website.
Did you go to the public day that they had?
Yeah.
There? Yeah, me too.
No, well, I mean, I saw her in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
And music? Do you do anything with music?
I like kirtan.
Okay.
So I do keyboards and percussion.
Keyboards meaning harmonium.
Harmonium, right, and I can also play piano and this and that.
I also play those and also percussion. I love playing percussion. Anything happening here in Ashland?
As far as kirtan? Yeah, there are some groups, some kirtan groups. And like meditative circles where there'd be, some kirtan and then some readings and some sitting quietly and like that.
Do you meditate?
I do, yeah.
What do you do?
Well...
Or is it a secret?
I do mantra and breathing. I have to do pranayama and mantra, and yoga.
So when you do mantra, do you repeat one phrase or multiple phrases?
Well, I was given a mantra
Right.
way back when,
Yeah.
and then I've amplified that.
And how many times or how long do you repeat it?
Well, I sit for an hour
Okay.
in the mornings. And I like to, if it's a good day and my head is clear, then it's entirely silent.
You mean the whole day you don't talk?
No, I mean mantra. Mantra is entirely internal.
Oh, you mean you don't actually say it out
Right,
loud?
that's
You
correct.
say it inwardly.
Inwardly, right. And if on a really, really good day, it says itself. Yeah.
But there is still saying. So when
Right.
you say silently, it just means outward silently, because inwardly there is still sound. There
Right.
is, yeah.
But it does, it's an experiential thing. You know, there's a big variety of what goes on in the name of mantra, depending on the state of your being. You might be completely distracted or got a lot of negativity flowing through your energy field. Those days are difficult. That's when you have to sometimes say things out loud.
But wouldn't that be an act of avoidance? Because
Yeah, there's a lot of literature around all of that. And, you know, it's up to everybody to read all that and digest it in their own understanding.
what do you mean by what kind of literature?
Spiritual literature about just that topic that you're talking about. You know, is mantra
I see.
just avoidance?
No, it's just the way you describe it. Like, I'm having a hard day, these negative energies and so on.
Right.
And I say it out loud. It's like
Right.
I turn up the television even louder.
Right,
So that I don't hear the background noise. That sounds like that.
Right.
But don't you think?
Another way of thinking about it is, okay, the mantras are supposed to have a certain vibrational energy that brings your mind to a certain state of perception. So you keep insisting on that state of perception so that your outlook is actually the problem. So your outlook transforms, and then you're going to be in the best position to make whatever possible steps are available, instead of just moaning and groaning and bemoaning your fate.
But is it the outlook that's a problem, or could there be that there is a real problem in the form of, a disorder, something which is
Oh,
not?
I see what you mean, like a real mental illness.
No.
No?
By disorder, I mean, yeah, usually disorder means that. But I mean, in the literal sense, like your room is in disorder.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Lack of order.
Right, right. In other words, you let your life go to hell and just say your mantra.
Right, and
Right,
so
yeah.
if when you're having a hard day, for example, as you
Yeah.
put it,
Right,
or negative energy, so all of that has a reason.
exactly.
I'm not talking about karma.
Right,
I'm talking about some actual practical reason,
right.
which needs to be dealt with, needs
Right.
to be solved,
Yeah.
needs to be looked at, needs to be understood, and often that very understanding of it brings about the solution.
Exactly.
And that's the issue that I have with this approach that you're describing,
Right,
because it is a way of avoidance.
right.
And somehow the idea that if I continue reciting something which is supposed to bring about a transcendental state,
Right.
then those issues will take care of themselves. But it doesn't work.
Yeah,
That aspect of it doesn't work, as far as I've experienced.
right.
Whereas if I actually deal with the problem, if I find out what the cause of that anguish is, then the mind, it's same lady again. Wow, she's got two bodies. Then the mind actually can be quiet naturally.
What you're saying is using your intelligence and your willpower to address your life and its issues, you think is more authentic?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
Because willpower, intelligence, yes, but willpower is an interesting concept, because will usually implies duality, at least the way I understand it. It's like one part of me wants to, I want to do this, but another part doesn't do it, doesn't want to, is lazy, and so on and so forth. So for me, a different way of life than the one which has led to the mess we live in, which is our world.
Right,
Part of that is for will to be out the window.
right.
To live with union with yourself. You're friends with yourself. You don't need to have a will, a conflict, effort. All of these things are out the window.
Right, which is, I think, primarily, isn't that Krishnamurti's, some of his main teachings?
I don't know. This is what I mean,
what you've come to?
I've experienced and studied many things. This is what I've come to. Which makes sense, right? It means living a life without conflict, including internal conflict.
Right.
Because will and effort imply internal conflict.
Right. Right. Well, you must have heard of Ramana Maharshi too.
I have, yes.
Yes. He has a lot to say about that whole thing. Effort. What is the role of effort in your own spiritual evolution?
Is there such a thing as spiritual evolution?
This is where the bear walked across, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It's right here. Walk here and then up here. Probably up this little scuttle path right there.
It's her again.
He's mocking us with the idea that if you say like, oh, okay, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Vedantist, I'm a meditator, or this or that, then you automatically have created some kind of a barrier between yourself and every other living being, primarily human beings.
Well, that's an interesting subject. My impression of this is that whenever you identify yourself with something, then automatically you become opposed to the opposite of that ideology.
Right.
It just seems to be that way. And so the question is, do we need to identify at all? Can we just be humans on this earth and not identify with ourselves, with a car, with a with our bank account, with our ideology or anything like that?
If we could, the world would be a far different place. It would be a far more joyous place.
Yeah, and I don't mean not having a bank account.
Right, right.
But I mean not deriving pleasure or some sort of physical security is fine.
Yes.
But I know people who have millions, tens of millions, and their pleasure in life is money.
Right.
They identify themselves with that bank account. The story that some sage used to say is that he had a friend on his deathbed. He said, "Open those cupboards. I want to look at my gold bullions again for one last time."
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
And in the ancient Egypt, they used to bury the riches with them.
Right. Right. Including even human beings to serve them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also their ship, because when they were coming back, they would ride the ship back to Aswan from Cairo.
So what type of music do you say normally you have someone who sings?
Well, I sing myself too.
Sing yourself too. Okay.
I try. I mean,
do you write your own stuff?
Yeah. I try. I'm trying to make my life simpler, so I can spend more time writing music. But that's really my passion. I have a lot of unfinished songs and ideas. I wake up with melodies and stuff, which deserve some attention. But so I'm in the phase now of cleaning up my life of some distractions, which are caused by. But mainly, the main thing that I've concluded from all this is that from stupidity of humanity. Which, like people like Einstein used to say, that it seems to be infinite, the level of stupidity, and now it's known as like an epidemic. Ignorance is so dominant, and people take pride in being ignorant and stupid.
See, there are a lot of people in Ashland. This is like a magnet for people who are in transition around the same kind of things you're talking about.
Oh, really?
So you'll see a lot of people who, if you ask them what's going on in their life, it looks like, they're completely lost, but really they're just facing the very things you're talking about, the deeper layers of things that are keeping them doing things that are self-sabotaging.
No, but I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm not talking about deeper layers inwardly. I'm talking about stupid people out there.
Oh, okay.
Who cause troubles for you, cyber stalkers.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Oh, so you've had some unpleasant experiences of that kind of thing?
Yeah, and the world is full of it. I was talking to an attorney last week. He said people call in my office crying because they're victims of abuse on the internet.
Really?
Yeah, it's a new field, and a lot of stupid, unethical people without goodness in their heart. They think they can actually hide behind the internet,
right?
And get a pleasure out of bothering other people.
Wow.
But it doesn't go, and I'm making a lot of effort to at least set some examples on why these kinds of behaviors don't go, without getting punished.
Yeah.
Or unfolded, because that's the key. As soon as you catch who they are, like I just did a few days ago. I revealed, got answer to my subpoena, which I had no choice but to file a lawsuit against the cyber stalker.
Oh.
And now I know who he is. And now as soon as I know who he is, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Is he somebody who you had never met before, just random?
Well, it's never random in the sense that usually it happens, whether it happens to people on Facebook in some discussion, it happens on around some message board around a topic.
Okay.
I had experience with this with guitarists
Oh.
who were just flat out jealous about the success of my recordings.
Okay.
Having come from the outside, you know, I didn't go to the conservatory. I did, but I don't have a degree in that.
Okay.
I have degrees in other things.
Uh-huh.
So, generally speaking, there's two driving motives in this world, unfortunately. One is jealousy, and the other one is what they call causeless hatred.
Yeah.
People who have hatred in their heart
Yeah.
because, well, there is no cause. It's causeless. I think it's because of the... I don't know, that's a good question. I think it has to do with the way they lived, what they eat.
Yeah.
You know, with everything, how they were raised, the abuses they went through. Because a person who doesn't have internal problems doesn't start picking fights with others, you know?
Right.
A person who's friends with themselves, with himself, he would just go on living peacefully.
There are so many people doing work just to get to that point here in Ashland where they're secure in their own, for lack of a better word, their own bliss. And so when they interact with others, you know, there are not all these kinds of jealousy kind of things going on, or you know. Actually, I think there are six categories that cause all this chaos.
Tell me.
Let's see if I can remember.
Is this from the Bhagavad Gita or something?
I forget what it is. Six ripus, 6 spiritual enemies, and jealousy is definitely one.
Really? That's funny.
Anger is one.
Okay.
And greed, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 3. But yeah,
Yeah, anger is also a big problem in the world.
Yeah.
But you know, the way we deal with these things, it has not worked.
Right.
Look at the level of aggression in the world today.
Right.
Look at the level of disturbance people cause to others because they're jealous.
So here in Ashland, there are at least, I mean, if you look around, or if you're at all open to those kind of things, or if that's what you're supposed to be running into, you'll run into it in Ashland. There's a lot of development of the consciousness of the divine feminine, where it's a lot more the idea of stopping the aggressiveness and just kind of tuning in to your real life purpose.
See, is this 1 tree or 2 tree?
I think this is 1 tree.
Yeah, I would say so too. Well, it's like the story of life. Is it duality or oneness?
Right. Yeah, depends on the day.
So the key issue with things like anger is that our approach to it has not worked. Our meaning the human approach to it, because traditionally we've had these spiritual practices who talk about similar thing you were talking about earlier, about suppressing it, or you know, and so on, or and modern day therapists give you medications, or
they're hypnotherapists too.
Yeah,
I know a woman here in actually I was kind of close to her for a while, but that went south. But she's now taken up hypnotherapy, and she's finding a lot of movement inside from that, positive movement.
Right. So the key pitfall of these approaches, in my opinion, are 2 things. One is a lack of understanding of the problem. And the second thing, which is related to the first one, is separating yourself from the problem. So if a person who's angry separates himself and says, this is me and that's anger,
right,
and now my therapist tells me I need to control it, blah, 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 etc., then he's not understanding it. Because what happens is every time he wants to end anger, become non-angry, he's moving away from the fact, which is anger. And therefore he's not understanding what is, which is anger. And if you don't understand what is cannot change. Right? Whereas once you do, without but when I say understand, see, it's an art.
Right.
Because if you understand and see, then you try to change it, then it's you're back into the same. Yeah, the whole witness thing is false.
You think it's false?
I think so, because the seer is the seen.
Yeah. There's the seer, Drish Drig Viveka. Have you heard of that scripture?
No.
That's the analysis of the seer, the seen, and the process of seeing. It's by Shankara.
I know Shankara.
Right.
So what does it say?
So I can't, I mean, all of these things are very subtle.
Yeah.
And really, just to say them,
But what's the basic point of it?
the basic point of it is that there is a part of your consciousness which is beyond all of that. We think that the ultimate is our thinking, but there's a way of our mind functioning that's far beyond thinking.
Awareness itself, right?
Awareness itself.
You can be aware and not be thinking.
That's right. But when you do it, then it's not like you don't have to think about, did I have an experience of that? It is a very vivid thing, just as vivid as like hitting a rock or something like that. It's so that's what the whole idea of realization. If you can meet people like you did, where you met, say his full name.
Somebody.
Yeah, somebody who's done that. Then the idea is they are vibrating at a different pitch, and they have the capacity to. If you're resonant, if you're ready, then you'll start resonating to that, and certain things will start occurring to you.
Well, I somehow I have trouble with the idea that you meet a so-called enlightened person and that ignites something in you. Of course, we all ignite things in each other.
Right. But I mean, I think there are people, there are experts in every field, just like I can't pick up a guitar and do what you can do. There are people who have this kind of inner understanding that I think it's worthwhile, maybe,
Yes, but not as an authority.
Not as an authority.
Well, at least in my mind.
Right.
And the idea of specialists and experts, I think that's more in the field of technical and practical areas.
Have you heard of Sadhguru?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he gets into a lot of really interesting stuff on this. Just the topic you're talking about. When you talk, you sound a little bit to me like Swami Vivekananda.
Well, I read his books when I was younger.
He was very skeptical of Ramakrishna, extremely skeptical. But then he got zapped a couple times, and that he turned into a mother worshipper at the end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's criticism of his work. I used to like his books. I read his books among reading many other things from many other religions,
right,
just to educate myself.
Right.
But his work he was very powerful. I like that about him.
Yeah,
he was a rocker.
Strength. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, you betcha.